John Deere 1500 series front axle. This is what we call a base axle, which has no final drives, no steering cylinders, no tie rods or drag link. It's the cheapest assembly that we can put together. I'm going to show you what comes with this, what other options we have, and what goes wrong with them. Okay, first, what goes wrong? This male input shaft goes into this female input shaft, and then this female input shaft is right here. So we've got our shaft inserted. You can see that we've got movement here. If this shaft is locked up inside of there, this is where we're going to tell you to hold up and do a little bit of inspecting before you just start ripping into it. So you've got an inspection hole on top. You've got an inspection hole on this side for bore scope. You've got an inspection port here. And you've got the entire front cover that can come off, plus the plug on the bottom. So the only reason that we're saying don't just rip into it is the same reason on the 9000 series axles. If you have tons of metal inside, you're going to need, at a minimum, X amount of parts. So this is actually an old shaft that failed, and what you can see is where it spun inside that housing. This was one we were actually successful at getting out. A lot of times you cannot get that out of the main housing. There'll be a dark heat spot right up here, and when that happens, I'm just going to tell you, you're going to need a right hand axle housing, you're going to need a differential, ring and pinion, you're going to need both drive gears, male and female input shafts. That's just how it fails. Now, if you can still spin it, you just need to rebuild it. You're good to go. So like with any failure, it's a lot of preventive maintenance would prevent that, but no one does it. You can't see the gunk that's getting in this here. If you did oil samples on your main case or your differential oil, you would find it before you had a failure typically. But when that's welded in, you're not going to get it out. All you're doing is wasting dealership time or your money or whatever you want to call it. But that's when you should consider a replacement axle. If you can still spin it, just fix it. Now there are updates on this shaft with more oil holes, and there's updates on this shaft with larger O-rings to try to prevent the trash from getting in there. And that's exactly what happens there. In fact, if you kind of look at this, this is a core axle. You can see a little bit of the heat on that outer housing where it came from a failed unit, but it wasn't, it didn't fail enough to have to repair or replace the main case. So it's just all about when you catch it. So this is the cheapest assembly that you can get. You can't get it from your OEM. I'm not going to tell you that you won't find one out there in the world, but we put a premium on the tractors when we buy them to get them, and we put a premium on the cores to keep them coming back in so that we can keep you going as best as possible. A standard repair when you need the main housing, differential, ring and pinion, both drive gears and both input shafts is going to run you $35,000 in a dealership, about 25 hours just on this section, plus your assemble and disassemble of your final drives, steering cylinder, drag link. We do offer those. Obviously it's a higher price, but what we've been able to create is a rebate program that says if your steering cylinders are rebuildable, if your tie rod or your main drag link is rebuildable, if your final drives are rebuildable, mainly no mechanical failure, then the rebate will equal this part at currently $35,000 exchange, plus the parts and labor to assemble onto this and do the rebuild and rebuild of the final drives, of the steering cylinders, of the tie rods or drag link. It's about as fair as we've been able to make it. We don't sell very many of the complete ones, but it's just based on what type of work's been done to your tractor in the past. If you've never had your final drives rebuilt, your dealer says that they need to be rebuilt, that's when you would consider a complete one. Only at that point would you consider it. It's just going to cost you $10,000 to $15,000 more in your dealership to do it, where we've got them on the shelf ready to go. And I'll give you a quick shot of one of those. So here's a quick peek at a complete reman axle. It's got the pivots on it, pivot supports, drag link, steering cylinders, final drives. And there's one more.